I love gold. The look of it, the taste of it, the smell of it, the texture. Love gold so much, we even merged the two WWE championships in an unfortunate schmelting accident. This is the SmackDown podcast here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. I'm your host, Tempest, alongside the lovely and beautiful Sat E. Niangi. What time is it, Sat?
It is Sat-E time on Sat-E day. I haven't done that in weeks. I actually forgot I'd do that until you prompted me. Thank you.
That's what I'm here for. We are the House of the Black Mask. Who...
Charged up. I'm ready to go. Dude, it's been weeks. I've missed you. I've missed everyone else. It's always quite awkward to take time off and then come back and then take time off again. But I'm here. I'm back. I've got a kitten now. I just want to throw that out there.
He's got a cat. There's a new Wrestle Cat.
There's a new Wrestle Cat. Yes. His name is Tunde. His government name is Babatunde Kazuchika Kupanyangi.
You all better remember that. So we are here to talk about Friday Night SmackDown, the 1,000 days of Roman Reigns and his championship celebration, and more specifically, where that leaves the bloodline. Because on this show, there were a lot of video packages hyping up Roman Reigns 1,000 days as Universal Champion. It was like the first 5 minutes of the show, and then throughout the show, they were showing off highlights of his biggest title matches, his biggest title defenses, all that. And throughout the show, you had backstage segments where Paul Heyman was talking to Solo Sikoa, and he said, I'm going to go talk to Adam Pearce, make sure that the Usos are nowhere to be found tonight. And he goes and he talks to Adam Pearce, and Adam Pearce is like, it's okay. Travel's canceled. We've got security measures in place. There will be no Usos. Everything's going to go to plan. That was just a lie.
Not even just a lie, but why? Okay, let's just say, all right, you don't want the Usos to be at the ceremony. Can they not wrestle? They're wrestlers. It's a bit bizarre. It's a bit
a little bit.
Right? Who's he to take orders from a wrestler? And his manager, what is he, a
And
crony?
It was hilarious. Like they didn't have no security guys around the ring. Security guys for the Usos to make their way through to get to the ring. Nothing. So the main event segment of this show started with Triple H coming out and going down to the ring and saying that there are figures in sport that are aligned with greatness. Muhammad Ali in boxing, Michael Jordan in the NBA, and right now we are all getting to see greatness live as it happens, and when people are going to be telling their kids and their grandkids about Roman Reigns. Hell of a little promo here, even though I think it's quite funny.
You know, the funny thing is, you don't watch Raw. On Raw, he said, we need a champion, one that doesn't, occasionally turn up. Then he goes on SmackDown, you're witnessing greatness. What is it, Triple H? Is he an absentee champion, or is he a champion we tell our grandkids about? Make your decision, Triple H. You're hedging your bets, sitting on the fence for too long. I don't like bosses that do that. Tell him to his face. He had Roman in his face, and he didn't tell him to his face that he thinks he's an absentee champion.
It's true. Instead, he gave him a new belt. And what a belt. They unveiled the new, undisputed WWE Universal Championship, which doesn't make sense because there's a new world champion around, which means he's not undisputed.
It's been disputed.
It is a disputed WWE Universal Champion. Ridiculousness. But it's the same belt. Again.
Someone said, NK from Wrestling says it looks
gold.
deep fried. It looked deep fried.
I've heard so many people say what this belt looks like. I've heard it be called the mustard belt.
Mustard, I like that, yeah.
I've heard it called the melted butter belt.
I like that too.
Like, okay, we've had red, we've had blue, now we have yellow.
Gold, yellow.
It's a gold belt. It's a new big gold belt, sort of.
He heard it. You want big gold?
We'll give you something big and gold, but if you like the design of the belt, more power to you. But my God, they're allergic to having a good belt design these days. Like
this century.
I won't go this century. There were good belts.
Yeah,
like
the big Eagle belt was good.
The big Eagle belt's
the undisputed
good
title.
I like the undisputed title
one of my favorites. That's one of my
a good
faves.
belt.
Yeah.
The Intercontinental title until recently, I think, had a pretty good track record.
Wait a minute. I like the title Gunther currently carries. It's at least not a big obnoxious W belt.
It's not, and I'm glad that it's not. But I don't know. It's not my favorite. Maybe it's just because I've got like it's the same thing with the IWGP belt. I'd probably like it more if it wasn't like, in my view, a downgrade from the most previous one.
But at the same time, the old Intercontinental title belt, I know that we're not meant to be talking about it, is a nostalgia belt because it was an old design of a previous design. The whole point is to evolve. But the issue with WWE is their title evolution has been crap. I agree. But the Intercontinental title is better looking than the current WWE Universal title, whatever. But yeah, as you're saying, I'm cutting you off. I'm
No,
excited.
not at all.
Excited.
It's Their belt track record as of late hasn't been the best.
Abysmal.
But, yes, that. Roman Reigns is given his new belt. Here, we'll take the other two from you. You can have this new one. And I still don't know what that means for the lineages. I don't know what it means for any of those
I'm so glad you brought it up.
bits of admin there, because I don't think they know. I've heard people say that they're combining the lineages of the two belts, which previously is not how this has worked. But whatever you need to tell yourself just to not have the lineage of the WWE Championship ended, because I've been telling myself this all week. I don't want to get angry about really stupid things like this,
I hear what you mean.
I don't want to get invested in the lineage of a fake sports belt.
I'm with you on that.
Right? Like, it's not worth getting worked up over.
It's not worth getting triggered. It's not worth getting triggered. But
that being said, if I'm going to watch this stupid show about this stupid fake sport, I want some things to matter. I want some things to be sacred. And I feel like that thing is sacred. And I feel like we're only having this discussion about lineages and such because the record-setting title reign for Roman Reigns is the Universal title.
Which is his own lineage.
Right. If that belt, if he had won the WWE Championship first, right?
That would be great.
And he then won the Universal title second. So like the WWE Championship reign was the one that had hit 1,000 days and counting and everything. Then we probably would have just done away with the Universal title and like combine them and okay, that belt is retired.
Yeah.
But we can't say that because that would mean that his 1,000-day title reign would stop. We can't have that, of course. But regardless, this is all secondary.
Not regardless. I've been thinking about it too. Yes, I have a real life. I have a job. I've got a partner, I've got a child, and I got a kitten. But stuff like that still bites me in the buttocks because his 1,000-day reign is for the Universal title. That's a separate lineage. So he has not surpassed Pedro Morales' title reign. That is a lie. That is a bogus claim. And they want us not to look at the internet and see the truth of it. And like you said, they would have ditched Universal title if they didn't realize the faux pas they made the whole time, which is quite awkward. Because I don't even like the name. I'm a traditionalist. Is it a world title or not? What is Universal?
Champion of the universe.
Do you want to be champion of the universe?
I mean, wouldn't you?
Fine, I'm Galaxy World Champion. I'm WrestleTalk's Galaxy World Champion. There you go.
I remember Bryan Danielson saying that on Talking Smack. It was good. But the point of this segment, however, is not the reveal of the big mustard belt, but rather what came after that. Because immediately after, the Usos came out, like we said, screw you, Adam Pearce, and your security, because that might as well not have existed. The Usos come down to the ring, and this is where this segment actually really gets good. Triple H leaves. He's not needed for this. The Usos get in the ring. And they're talking. Jimmy Uso is the one who does most of the talking. But Roman tells Jay to super kick his brother. Because Jimmy super kicked him. So he says, super kick your brother, make this right. And Jay's pacing, and he's torn and everything. But he's not going to do it. He's not going to turn on his brother. All of this, everything, has been about the Usos caring about each other more than Roman. Of course, there's conflict there and such. But this then turns into Jimmy saying that brothers don't manipulate. Brothers don't betray you. He starts talking to Solo. Says, Solo, he's going to betray you. He's going to manipulate you. He's going to cast you aside as soon as he's done with you. Jimmy pie faces Roman Reigns. The bit that Roman had done to him at the pay-per-view and before on SmackDown and done to everybody whenever he starts getting worked up and throwing his power around. This was fascinating television. Because we continue down this way. We give the microphone to Solo. And Solo, because Roman's like, he can speak for himself. You don't need to speak for Solo. He gives the mic to Solo. He says, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. But those are my brothers. Goes across the ring. And I believe, no, it was the pie face thing that had people chanting holy S word. So anytime you've got people hanging on a segment like this, that is a job well done. Because, we saw the same thing with the I don't give a damn about what the tribal chief said segment last year.
That was funny.
There are a lot of really good segments like that where you can tell people are totally locked into what's going on in the ring in a promo segment, which is not what happens all the time, including earlier on the show, which we'll get to. But with all three Usos now aligned on the same side of the ring, Roman is stood there by himself alongside Paul Heyman, but by himself bloodline-wise. And Jimmy starts talking about, it doesn't have to be this way, man. We can still be the ones. We can still be the bloodline. We could run this place like we've been doing. And he offers a hug. He's just like, listen, just chill out. Chill the F out. And Roman is starting to get all worked up, and he's making it look like he's crying, and he hugs Jimmy. And they embrace, and the crowd's kind of like,
No, it said it was a pop, though.
There was a pop, but it wasn't like, like when Sammy and Jay hugged. Like, they've united. This was kind of like, yeah, we don't like Roman, though, in the heel way. Like, we don't like this guy. He's bad news. Or he's not going to turn face that easily. He's not going to turn about like that. And sure enough, Roman holds the mic up and he just says, no. And he pulls away, and Solo Samoan spikes Jimmy, leaves him laying. Everybody goes crazy in the crowd. They leave, and the show goes off the air there. With Solo and Roman and Paul Heyman walking up the ramp. No Rikishi, no Wild Samoans. So any talk of the extended bloodline being present for this, not the case. This was a WWE bloodline segment, but very good television, I thought. It was fresh. It was interesting because we have new character dynamics now with the Usos and Roman Reigns opposing one another.
Civil War, baby.
A civil war, a bloodline civil war. It was very different from all of the other ones that we've seen, which, I mean, since WrestleMania has been the talk of the bloodline crumbling, but we've not seen any of it until very recently. But now we actually do get to see the fallout of Jimmy Uso's decision at Night of Champions. Now we see where Solo's allegiances lie, at least for now. And all of this I thought was very well done, Seth.
I just wanted to add, and towards the end, Paul Heyman, as he's walking down the ramp with Solo and Roman Reigns, he says to Tribal Chief, what about Jay? What about Jay? And Roman goes, Jay will do what he's always done, which is fall in line.
Yes.
So Roman fully expects Jay to eventually turn on his brother, as Solo has, and join him on the island of relevancy. The whole thing was very, very well put together. I do think, what was missing was the elders. We haven't had one. It's besides when the early days of the Tribal Chief, when you had Alpha and Sikoa come out and present Roman with delay, we haven't really seen a lot of the extended family members. It would be great because imagine the amount of times WWE pimps out their legends. Every 6 months, there's some sort of legend reunion. You get
Raw
Sergeant Slaughter.
reunion.
You get your
the Raw anniversary.
Teddy DiBiase, Sergeant Slaughter, your IRSs, whatever. It would be nice for once if they did do a segment and they got members of the Ananawi family there. That would have been even better. That would have been even great. You see how the elders are reacting, because we hear from Paul Heyman or Solo himself or even Roman how the elders are feeling. I want to see the elders. I want to hear them talk. I want to hear how they're feeling about the conflict going on amongst the family members. That would have been another great added wrinkle. Maybe it's coming soon, because we don't know if this match is going to happen at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. You'd think it would be Money in the Bank, because it will give Roman a rest from defending the title again, and then he can have a big match at SummerSlam, possibly with one of the Usos. Who knows? I don't know. But the whole segment was great. Like you said, post-WrestleMania, the whole Bloodline segment was like I don't want to say it was flatline, but it was like in ICU, it was in a coma. It was not dead. It just was. It was kind of.
It was on
ice.
hold.
It was
like,
on
it's
pause,
hard to get invested in this story when Roman Reigns isn't there.
Yeah.
Because the story doesn't progress when Roman isn't there.
No. It doesn't. And it's always like, oh, he's watching at home. Oh, he's not happy. It's more to do with Roman's schedule being different from everyone else. But it goes to show you when Roman Reigns is around, the bloodline storyline goes up a notch. Takes a whole giant leap, a whole giant step. I enjoyed the whole thing. And even down to the whole Solo turning on his brothers, it seemed too good to be true. But I also gauge crowd reactions, because crowd reactions are crucial to if a wrestler's going to get pushed or not. Because you'd argue it was. I'm going to take this back to another storyline. There was another group called Evolution, right? So at that point, it was Randy Orton was kicked out. It was Batista, Ric Flair, and Triple H. But they did a fake thing where Triple H and Batista had a falling out, and they were going to fight each other. And then it was all down to sucker Randy Orton. That's what we found in the end, to sucker him, so they beat him up. But at the time when people were believing that Batista saw the light and he was against Triple H, he got the biggest reaction he's ever got his entire career. Because up until then, you would argue that Batista was the least over member of Evolution at that point. But when they did the fake breakup, fans were invested in you're like, who Batista as a baby face, we're with it. So they were trying to gauge with Solo. I feel like if you left the promo for like another, 20 seconds, you may have got big Solo chants, because the crowd was trying to do Solo chants, because Solo doesn't get chanted that much. So it's kind of like, how do we chant him? Is it Sikoa or is it Solo? What are we chanting? Solo? So they're trying to get a little, you know what I'm saying? Because when you chant for a wrestler, it's like, what are we going with? Sikoa. No, Solo, right? Solo. Because the Usos got chanted because Jimmy was in the talking, and as much as Jay gets the chant, Jay, and you give it to Jimmy. They're like, well, we like both of you, so so. But yeah, Solo, I feel like if this storyline is done well, he could walk out being the next big babyface star. But it's kind of also kind of tricky because they want Roman Reigns to be a babyface. So it's also, there's all these nuggets you're seeing about Usos can turn babyface, but what if all three brothers turn heel on Roman in the end? That's what I'm also thinking as well. But overall, great segment.
It's another one of those fun segments where you do get to see a large development in this story, and it does kind of reinvigorate your want to just be like, oh, what are they going to do next? Whoa, what's the next match going to be? Oh, is Jay going to end up turning on Roman to side with his brother? And then how long before Solo turns? Or what's going to happen? And that, to me, has been the most fun aspect of the Bloodline story over the last year. It's when are they going to turn on Sammy? How are they going to turn on Sammy? Is Sammy and Jay, like, what happens with that dynamic? And then we see all these things, and it leads to great segments, and it's very fun. I really enjoy all that. And I think by far it was the highlight of this show, because this was, again, a very promo package heavy episode of SmackDown, really highlighting Roman Reigns and his 1,000-day plus reign at this point. But we will get into the rest of our SmackDown review here. Let us know what you think has... let us know what you thought of the 1,000-day celebration here at SmackDown Roman Reigns Day in the comments down below. Make sure to like this video.
They should have done more, like the staging. Yeah. They should have wore suits or something. I mean, I've seen past celebrations. Vince McMahon had a celebration in '98. I remember the Rock vs. Your Life. There wasn't enough balloons. There wasn't enough pyros.
We did get pyro, but I would have thought there wasn't enough. I thought there would have been confetti and
exactly. Where's the golden confetti for the gold?
For the gold. But yeah, so let us know what you thought in the comment below. Make sure that you like this video and make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. We do wrestling podcasts every single week for all the major shows on the week's calendar. Week schedule? I don't know. Make sure, of course, that you like that. All the stuff, YouTube things.
All the good things.
And we'll get into the rest of the podcast starting now, because we had our opening match here, which was the Brawling Brutes versus Austin Theory and Pretty Deadly. Now, Austin Theory started this show. This was another weird pacing bit where they did the first opening promo package where they said, 1,000 days, it's incredible. And then they cut to the ring, and Austin Theory's got a mic. Like, okay, and now we start. Nope, we've got another promo package to go to first. And they did that. And then they went back to the ring. Who knows how long poor Austin Theory was stood there. But eventually we get the promo from Austin Theory, and it's a typical Austin Theory promo segment. Welcome to Austin Theory live and such. And he welcomes out Pretty Deadly, and they banter a little bit, and then they bring out the Brawling Brutes to start this 6-man tag match. And I thought this was a fun match. You had some good stuff, like everybody brawled out to the floor. Ridge Holland took out the heels on the floor, and then Sheamus kind of hit a diving-ish clothesline from the top rope to the floor, and then Butch hit a moonsault. All good stuff. They went to commercial. It was a good break. And then they went back, and we had another very clever finish. And you mentioned that they did this in NXT as well, but I really like how Pretty Deadly are kind of carving out a little niche for themselves on SmackDown as just the tag team that has, like, more creative than usual heel finishes. It's not just, oh, we distract the referee and one guy hits a low blow and then you roll him up and that's it or whatever. In this case, you had, I can never get them separate in my mind.
No, Elton Prince is the blonde one. Kit Wilson is the brunette.
I promise you, I will not remember this.
Because I think of Elton Prince, I think of Elton John and Prince. So I have to remember that's the blonde one. Kit, I think of a Kit Kat Litter. Litter is brown. So Kit Wilson, brown hair.
You just got kittens on your mind.
I do.
Regardless, Kit Wilson, in that case, was the legal man, but he swaps out with Elton Prince and he puts the ring skirt over his head. So Ridge Holland thinks that he's the legal man as he's distracted with Sheamus getting put into the post. Fast forward, things happen. And then Kit Wilson hits a chop block on Ridge Holland, and then Elton John removes the thing.
Prince.
And they hit spilt milk.
Dude.
And then they tag in Austin Theory, who gets the pin. So very gracious of them to allow their new heel friend to get their pin for them. Good stuff. Fine opening tag match. I'm still not terribly into Austin Theory or his U.S. title run. Somebody put on Twitter like a few days ago, like, oh, nobody's talking about how Austin Theory is like surpassed 200 days as U.S. champion. It's because, like, who cares? Like, could you name me a title defense from that whole thing other than Cena at WrestleMania? Like, I guess there's like, I guess he did it in the chamber, but like, I don't remember anything he did in the chamber. I remember what everybody else did. And regardless, it's just not been a very captivating reign. I'll be interested to see where we go next with that and such. But regardless, we move. A solid, fun opening 6-man tag. I think all shows should open with 6-man tags because they're always fun. Backstage, we had one of the Paul Heyman. Any thoughts on that, by the way?
He said Elton John and Kit Harington. I'm still not over that. That should be a bit that you go with. Alongside saying Walter, say Kit Harington.
Listen,
and Elton John.
If they're going to give them the most generic English names possible, I'm just gonna go with it. Fine.
I was gonna say, I love the new theme that Pretty Deadly have. It's got vocals on it, and it matches their personality. That's what has been missing when theme songs matches the wrestler. Not like this is a generic theme number 5. 5 wrestlers have used it. You're gonna use it now. The theme, fits them. And I like the slow mo or the Joe-mo. The Joe motion as they have when they come out in the ring. They're so charismatic, and I feel like it also highlights how dull and nondescript Austin Theory is. When you put a tag team that's so charismatic, they've only been on the main roster for a few weeks. I feel like they're already embedded into the main roster really, really well. Sure. Alongside Grayson Waller. I feel like these call-ups, excluding Apollo Crews, they've acclimated really well in a new space. And I look forward to the tag feuds that Pretty Deadly can have with the other tag teams in the division. I'm hoping that after the Imperium feud, that the Wild Sam Owens will have a feud with Pretty Deadly next. Because I can see the promo, Kevin Owens not putting up with the BS of Pretty Deadly. 2 tasty snacks on SmackDown. Come on, that is a feud waiting to happen. Brawling Brutes, I feel like they're spinning their wheels unless they give him a great trios feud. I'm starting to think maybe it is time that all 3 of these guys have a separation, a permanent one. Butch can be Pete Dunne again. Ridge can be someone else's heavy, no offense, because Ridge, although he's improved as a wrestler in terms of a personality, he's the 3rd liked member of the Brawling Brute because Pete Dunne's Pete Dunne. Sheamus has got a renaissance in his career. And Ridge the Fridge is just known as Ridge the Fridge. Unless they give him a gimmick, he's an actual fridge.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, Sheamus has they're chanting for him a lot. Like, he was getting the "We want Sheamus" chants during this match as he was about to make his hot tag, which is great for him. But again, I'm not going to bring this up every week, but he is lost without the character agency that was him chasing the Intercontinental title. You know, that was like something real, something believable, something that he wanted, has been very public in saying that he wanted, and now he just doesn't really have that goal in front of him. He doesn't have that character motivation right now. And there's a million different things they could do with that, but I do think something needs to be done to freshen up the Brawling Brutes, because they are a good little package right now, but I'm ready to see Pete Dunne be Pete Dunne and get to wrestle long matches against whoever it's going to be. But we'll see.
I often say, you know what the office thinks of you if they let a makeshift tag team beat you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pretty Deadly and Austin 3, they barely know each other, you know, and they beat the Brawling Brutes quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot about how the group stock has kind of fallen. So like you said, either they turn heel and become vicious Brawling Brutes again, or
the new vicious Brawling Brutes,
or they break up and go their separate ways. Because I feel like you say, they're just there now. I like their football jerseys they're wearing, but besides that, it's like, how many heel groups you're gonna put their way? And it's like they don't really have feuds. They just have matches and backstage segments, which in their mind, if they think is a feud, it's not a feud. It's just like, here's something for this week or for the next 2 weeks.
yeah,
There. And like you said, Sheamus, without going for the Intercontinental title, it's true. It's like, what's next for him? I assumed the fact that him and Lashley are kind of within each other's orbit is going to turn into like a Hoss feud between Lashley and Sheamus for who's going to go after Austin Theory for the title. Because I do think Sheamus may potentially win the United States title again, even though he won it. I know your faces make, because it's kind of like,
it's fine, but
what do you do with Sheamus if you don't
Yeah.
give him the United States title? That's
Yeah.
the question, though. Because you don't. As much as you're cheering for him, Roman hasn't faced him yet, even though they alluded to Royal Rumble potentially being Sheamus versus Roman. Let's do that for SummerSlam. There we go. Answer the question. SummerSlam, Sheamus versus Roman. Cool. What's the next segment?
sure. The next segment was one of the backstage deals where Paul Heyman talked to Solo Sikoa, and then we had the OC versus Hit Row. Now, I was interested in seeing what was going to happen in this match because I was scrolling Twitter yesterday and just being like, God damn, they're going at it. They're being mean. I was waiting for a report to come out that Triple H had to call a talent meeting and be like, all right, guys, calm down. Enough of this. Because they were bringing up Swerve and the whole deal. Very, very entertaining Twitter television. But in this match, it was pretty straightforward. You know, the OC beat Hit Row clean, easily. They hit the Magic Killer on Ashante the Adonis and got the win. Not much to it. Top Dollar got in the ring afterwards and kind of, knocked them out of the ring, only to be hit with a phenomenal forearm from AJ Styles, and that was it. Sure, cool, whatever. They did a backstage bit beforehand where AJ Styles was like, I lost. Lost the pay-per-view. Oh, well, we move on.
As his birthday, AJ Styles is 46 years old. Just to say happy birthday, AJ. We love you, man. We've seen you grow up in the company, in the industry. Going back to what you said about Hit Row, Twitter, and Mia Yim, just in case you guys don't have Twitter, that's what we're talking about. So I came in close halfway through what was happening. Someone alluded TD. I was like, who's TD? And Swerve. Swerve, why are you bringing Swerve in? TD. I was like, who's TD? And then someone goes, Top Dollar. So I legit typed in Top Dollar on Twitter to find out what the issue is. So Hit Row, as you guys know, Hit Row did a diss for the OC. And then Mia Yim, as you know, Mia Yim and Shelton Benjamin, they have a banter back and forth. So Mia Yim is a professional when it comes to clapping back because she claps back a lot at her surrogate big brother, Shelton Benjamin. So for her, clapping back with ease. So Mia Yim made a comment because B-Fab called Mia Yim mid-chin, playing her name, Michin. So she said, paraphrasing, you and your little boys or whatever, go about your business or whatever. And then Top Dollar put on a meme, which is one of the characters from The Office. I don't know his name. He's got no hair, and he put thumbs down. And then Mia Yim goes, that's the same reaction the people have when you guys come out with that Swerve.
Ooh, snap.
Yes. So that burn, that diss, no matter what you say afterwards, you can't come back from that. That's like a KO. So they brought up Swerve, and of course, Top Dollar being Top Dollar, he didn't want to let that lie. he's saying, oh, you stole that tweet like that guy stole everything from us. So he's alluding to the fact that Swerve stole probably aesthetic. Is it the face mask he's wearing?
Yeah, I think that's what he was getting at. He wears like the balaclava and stuff.
Yeah, the ski
now.
mask thing. And maybe it's that. But yeah, he bringing Swerve into it because Swerve's got nothing to do with it. But, Mia Yim came up with a great quip to take him down. But now all of a sudden, B-Fab saying, oh, Swerve used your husband, being Keith Lee, like he used us. And then Mia Yim goes, if anyone was going to use anyone, what would they use you, basically? As in, what would they use Hit Row to elevate themselves? So again, Mia Yim came in with the and that escalated on Twitter to the point where it became uncomfortable. And then I thought of the quote of a certain wrestler who said, you worked yourself into a shoot, brother. So it looked like it was a shoot. So if you don't have Twitter, that is my recap. I should have did it on WrestleTalk News, but I didn't. We got it here. Thank you.
So we move on, but I thought that all was very interesting.
It is Mia Yim. Never tweet bad things on Mia Yim. She'll make you rethink your life, your life story.
Made me like Mia Yim even more. Mia Yim came with the heat.
Yeah.
So we had Adam Pearce talking to Paul Heyman backstage and just lying to his face. And then we got the Grayson Waller effect. Now, the previous episode or the previous edition of the Grayson Waller effect was hot garbage.
Who's in that one?
It was him and AJ Styles.
Oh, you didn't like that one?
No. God, no. Because AJ Styles comes on and he asks him like a couple of like
Softball questions.
nothing questions, just like, oh, what would winning the World Heavyweight Championship mean to you? And he's like, oh, it would mean everything to me. I've been training real hard and, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And Grayson Waller just says like, oh, man, I can't wait. And also I can't wait for the end of the match when the announcer says, and new World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins.
He was right, though.
He was right. But AJ Styles then like stood up and it looked like something was going to happen. And then that was just the end of the segment. Like it was one mild ass zinger from Grayson Waller was the whole point of the segment. So they had a low bar to try and surpass here with this segment here. And I think they did that, where his guest this time was Asuka, new Raw Women's Champion Asuka. And she comes out and she's talking exclusively in Japanese.
Great call.
Yeah, very much so. And Grayson Waller was saying like, haha, I couldn't have said it better myself. Except with an Australian accent and such. And it was pretty much just that for a little while. But he brings up Money in the Bank, which brings out Io Sky. Now, this was very interesting because I always love seeing these two on camera together because they just shout at each other in Japanese and it's entertaining.
It's on site every time.
It is. I find this very entertaining. I like this a lot. I don't like the people in the crowd giving them the what treatment because I hate that chant. But especially, I don't want to compare shows, but especially right after the excellence that was the Konosuke Takeshita segment on Dynamite this week, where they just let the Japanese guy speak in Japanese and cut a promo.
And that got heel heat.
And it got heel heat. Here, they just gave him the what treatments.
Ignorance.
Yeah,
what chant is an ignorant chant? It's like, what? I was like, are you dumb? Why are you saying what a lot?
You're not Steve Austin.
Yeah.
But anyway, this then it was the classic Money in the Bank set up segment where all the people who are going to try and qualify come out one after another and say, no, I'm going to win Money in the Bank. No, I'm going to win Money in the Bank. So Bayley came out and she was like, yeah, she said that she or I is going to win Money in the Bank and cash in on Asuka.
I like that.
Which is clearly not what Io was saying, but Bayley is great at what she does. And this happens. Then Shotzi comes out and says, no person is better suited for Money in the Bank than her. If you saw last year's match, you know that's not true.
Yeah.
Lacey Evans comes out next.
It's got a new hat.
Boo.
It's got a new hat.
Boo hiss.
It's got a new hat.
Can't believe this.
Hiss. Is there a cobra on that hat as well? Hiss.
I'm not going into a Lacey Evans right here. The next time they make a promo package for her, I will actively turn off the show. Regardless, she comes out, then Zelina Vega comes out and says, all of you are making the mistake of underestimating me just like Rhea Ripley did. And I always find that so funny because it's like, Rhea Ripley beat you. I get that it was a more competitive match than she just had with Natalya and whatever, but like, you lost. But whatever. This then led into Asuka retreating up the ramp, and Bianca Belair attacking her from behind. They had to do a pull-apart brawl with security and referees and such. And this was solid enough stuff, you know. They went to the back, and the next match was Zelina Vega versus Lacey Evans in our Money in the Bank qualifying match. In the middle of all of this, however, they said that this is when they hyped up Baron Corbin returning to NXT. I don't want to get into it. He attacked Carmelo Hayes. Poor Carmelo Hayes. And then backstage, Cameron Grimes says, that Baron Corbin, next time I see him around on SmackDown, I'm going to take care of him. And then we got our match between Zelina Vega and Lacey Evans, where during the commercial and all this backstage nonsense, Lacey Evans hit the women's right to take down Zelina before the match.
You recapping that shows how much of a pacing issue WWE have.
Yes, this wasn't a good week for their pacing.
To the point I was like, what? Is he skipping things? Wait, what? And I was like, wait, because I just watched it recently before we recorded this. I was like, that did happen. I thought it was the other way around. It makes more sense if it was after the match. But anyway, Cameron Grimes, what are they doing to you? So far, his main roster run has been okay, but he's got so much more charisma. There's more layers to him. The whole, I'm a rah-rah baby face. The next time he comes to Smack, he already beat Corbin.
Seconds.
Why does he care what Corbin's doing with his life? It would make more sense if he lost to Corbin. Now he's been embarrassed because he's a free agent. You can't get a hold of him, right? But you've beaten the guy. Why do you care what he does with his spare time? They need to give Cameron Grimes much better character motivation. We've seen a wrestler. If you're a wrestling fan and watch Impact Wrestling or TNA, whatever you want to call it, you know about Trevor Lee. You know how much of a great wrestler he is and how much he can be a vicious heel. Or if you watch NXT, you can see he can be a vicious or comedic heel. Or if you saw towards the end, became a whiny baby face. And then it's kind of like the Dolph Ziggler thing where they gave him a whiny baby face, rah-rah, when they do it for the people. It's not going to work. They're going to turn against him. I don't want people to turn against him that early. I want him to be the best version of himself. Right now, it's not the best version of Cameron Grimes. If that's your introduction to him, I'm sorry. He's much better than what you're seeing. In terms of the women, if it was a couple of years ago and you had Zelina versus Lacey Evans, you'd be like, Lacey's going to win this because she was the golden child for Vince McMahon. You know, a lot of times have gone, there's a lot of power struggles in terms of power of who has the creative pen for this. Lacey Evans lost. She will not be in Money in the Bank. So I'm bringing up Lacey Evans because she was a pet project for Vince McMahon or even Triple H at one point because her first feud was against Becky Lynch. You've mentioned it before. She's had many character development changes. She's had many different vignettes to the new vicious Lacey Evans. This Lacey Evans now does Cobra clutches. And then now this Lacey Evans post-draft wears hats with a Cobra on it. And she still can't catch a break and win. So it's either you put Lacey in a tag team, so they need to find another female to put in a tag team, someone that's like an understudy, like in a boot camp of Lacey, something, because they invest time in her, because we're at that point where she's been on the main roster for quite a while. She's had many character changes. It'll come to the point where they might have to cut the losses soon if they cannot find a reason to have her on TV or win or anything. Wait, hey, Zelina won. Continue the momentum of LWO.
I like that. Yeah, and this was a short match. Lacey Evans tried to get the Cobra Clutch on a number of points. Had it on, but Zelina Vega was able to fight out and hit the Code Red and get the win. Again, short match, but it led to a backstage segment immediately afterwards where Santos Escobar and the rest of the LWO are all together like, yeah, you did it, yeah. And next week, Santos Escobar, I'm going to qualify for Money in the Bank too. I'm going to beat Mustafa Ali. Can't you just see it? And Rey Mysterio pops his head in the middle and he's like, I can see it. Mr. and Mrs., which makes it sound like they're married.
Right.
They're not. But Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank. Yeah. LWO.
I know you said yeah right before an LA Knight match. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
Graded. But question.
Yes.
Santos and Mustafa Ali, two guys that need the victory, right? Because Santos hasn't had a signature victory as a singles competitor since turning babyface. And Mustafa Ali's Mustafa Ali. There's some days where it look like they're going to push him, and there's some days when they don't.
Yeah. This is tough because now they've done it with a pair of men's qualifying matches, and it's interesting seeing what we've gotten next week because they announced a slew of Money in the Bank qualifying matches, one of which is like Butch versus Baron Corbin, which is curious. I don't know who's going to win that one. I've got my preference for sure, but it is interesting where they seem to be doing a lot of these qualifying matches where it really does feel like they could put all the people in the match and it would be a solid enough decision. And I guess that speaks to the state of their roster and how it's, pretty good. Because I would like to see both Santos Escobar and Mustafa Ali in this ladder match. I would have liked to have seen both Montez Ford and LA Knight in this ladder match, and we'll get to their qualifying match shortly. But it is interesting. I wonder what the final picture of the Money in the Bank ladder match, the final lineup, is going to be.
You said it's going to be Butch versus Corbin. Easily, Butch is going to win for many reasons. Either Butch beats him clean or Cameron Grimes plays a part in Butch winning.
Speak it into existence for me, brother. I would like that very much.
Bless you. I'm going to speak into existence. I think that Butch is going to win and Corbin's going to be incredulous. Like, why did I lose? I don't understand this. But yeah, this Money in Bank looks healthy. There's a lot of speculation. They might do a last chance battle royal, something like that, for a final person to join the competitors in this Money in the Bank that's coming up. Because Montez Ford should be in it.
Absolutely.
I like Ricochet. I want, give Ricochet a chance, but I know what Ricochet does in ladder matches. Because no, I'm not saying that all wrestlers similar skill set. Let's not put all of them together. Just pick one. I'm just saying that I know what Ricochet can do. Ricochet cannot do it. Maybe let Mustafa do it. It sounds bad because it sounds I'm generalizing. Hey, you're a high flyer. You're a high flyer. It's going to be one of you. There can't be two of you at the same time. There can be multiple guys, but if the space is limited, I'd rather see guys that don't often get in ladder matches. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It looks like it's going to be a pretty fun lineup one way or the other, but we will see as we move closer to the event. There's still a few weeks left and many qualifying matches left to go because we got our first one here for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match between Montez Ford and L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
So, there's been a lot of talk the last few weeks about L.A. Knight and the reactions he has not, if WWE is to be believed, have been getting. Because last week, of course, he came out for his segment, and I made a real point of talking about this on the podcast last week because it was hilarious how badly they tuned down the cheers and up the boos. Like, you could literally hear them go, yeah! Woo! Like appalling stuff. I've hit the mic. Appalling stuff. And it was a big topic of discussion in the podcast and on the WrestleTalk news and everything. And apparently backstage as well, because they've taken note. This was also, of course, when Triple H was interrupted at the press conference for Night of Champions talking about whatever he was talking about, and everybody could chant LA Knight. So LA Knight is getting a lot of fan support right now, and this was no different. There were signs in the crowd for LA Knight. He was getting lots of chants at the start of the match, so much so that he stopped and kind of acknowledged them for a moment. And if he's doing that, that probably means he's not been told to ignore any of the cheers. You're supposed to be a heel, damn it. I feel like we're making headway with this. The people are being heard. But this match was, again, fun. This was solid enough stuff, and it ended with both men going for their finishers. Montez Ford goes for the frog splash, and he misses, and LA Knight goes for the BFT, and he misses as Montez Ford rolls him up, the backwards victory roll thing, and then LA Knight rolls through that and grabs onto the middle rope in order to get the leverage and get the pin. So Montez Ford does not qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. LA Knight, moves on to the Money in the Bank ladder match. Will he win? Who knows? Depends if Cody's involved, really. But so far, a good sign for LA Knight.
Cautiously optimistic. Funny enough, when he had a feud with Bray Wyatt, that was my response. I was optimistic the whole time. I said that he's going to come out of the storyline smelling like roses, and I was right.
Sort of. He got over with the people, but he did nothing between now and when that ended.
Again, that's nothing to do with him. Every time he's on screen, he monetizes those minutes. Right?
I agree.
He's one of those people, you put him in a crap feud, he monetizes the heck. He's great at capitalizing at things. It's kind of like you're going to team up with a clown and a mime. He'll find a way to make the clown and the mime work in his skit. He made Boogs work for that week or so as a makeshift tag team. What I'm trying to get at is that LA Knight, when given the opportunity, knocks out the park. I hope the old man and Triple H see what they have in LA Knight, because even his NXT run, he feuded with Grayson Waller and lost all the matches when he was a babyface. So I'm a bit worried that Grayson Waller, the guy that he cannot beat, they're going to have a similar feud again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's going to lose again. I don't want him to lose because it's now or never to push LA Knight. What I thought, what I
Easy for
found,
you to say.
right? I had a late night and I'm trying to like style it out, but you guys can
God
probably
for having a
kitten and a baby and that's my life. Okay, so what I found interesting was the dynamic between LA Knight and Montez Ford in that match. I felt like it called an audible. They saw the reaction that LA Knight was having with the crowd. So LA Knight wrestled more like a babyface in the match until the end. He kind of switched back to being a heel because Montez Ford had more of a heel kind of snarl during the match. And then that was impressive because there's been rumors and chatter online and on forums and on websites that allegedly that Street Profits and Bianca may allegedly turn heel down the line in the upcoming autumn or winter months.
That's fun.
So Montez Ford, because we've never seen Street Profits as a heel. For me, it's like before you break up a tag team, I'm like, use up all the dynamics. Babyface and heel, once you've done both, then you can break them up. Street Profits been lovable baby faces. It would be great to see them as snarling heels and what they can do, especially Montez. In this match, he was more aggressive. He looked at the crowd kind of like, yeah, this is the guy you're cheering for. Okay. So his demeanor wasn't like the happy-go-lucky Montez you usually see. You saw Montez with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. And I thought that was fascinating, the fact that they altered the match because of the crowd reaction. And I would like to see Street Profits as heels and Bianca, NXT Bianca. She was great as a heel.
Speaking of NXT Bianca, I believe this was a backstage segment that was done either for social media or WWE.com or whatnot. But she had a little bit more of an edge to her as well, as she gets interviewed backstage about what happened on this show. And I saw a lot of people being like, ooh, it looks like NXT Bianca is making a comeback here, which is what a lot of people have wanted. They've wanted a more heelish edge because, of course, people were starting to boo Bianca after such a dominant babyface run. Now maybe we'll get that. If any time is the time, now might be the time.
For me, I always found it was a miracle that actually made Bianca Belair as a straight-laced babyface work, because what made people love Bianca was she was so arrogant. EST wasn't like, I'm EST because of confidence and ability. No, I'm EST because I'm better than everyone. That's what got her over, is because she knew she was incredible. But on the main roster as a babyface, it's like she could have come across obnoxious, so they had to knock off the arrogance and give her more of a humble edge, and she's been riding with it with the she's been humble by everything, which worked in the beginning to the point where people got tired of like, stop being a nice happy-go-lucky baby face. Her having the edge, her losing the title is one of the best things that ever happened. Oh my gosh, taking the title off someone can actually add to the character. WWE, take notes. But yeah, so I'm too can't wait to see what Bianca does next. I assume it's going to be Money in the Bank. It's going to be Asuka versus Bianca again, and possibly Asuka wins again, and that leads to Bianca's downward spiral into being bitter and angry and mean.
Can't wait to see it. But that does indeed wrap up our SmackDown review here on the WrestleTalk Podcast, because all that was left on this show was Roman Reigns' 1,000-day championship celebration, which we have already talked about. So we now have a few more weeks before Money in the Bank, and some very interesting things have happened on this show this week that will continue to build throughout the month of June until we get to the wonderful pay-per-view on July 1st, Canada Day. Woo! So,
woo!
Sat, we do not have our typical SmackDown podcast shout-outs today. Those make a return next week as we are in a new month. So that is all that we have here for us today.
If that's all we have, I want to say thank you very much to everyone that watches our podcast. Since we've changed and we now become recorded, I know a lot of people miss the live shows, but I do appreciate everyone that watches the recorded ones, and we enjoy your comments. I read every comment. I read everything. I know everything. So I appreciate the nice comments, and I also appreciate the negative ones. We're all trying to improve and do better, so we appreciate you guys. Your voice are heard, so thank you so much for watching our show. I'm glad to be back. I ain't gonna lie, I'm super tired. If you can tell that I'm super tired, I am super tired, but I'm happy to be back alongside this lovely, lovely man, one of the greatest, best voices in all of wrestling. It is a pleasure for me to do this podcast with you every single Saturday. That's the highlight of doing it, leaving my house to come here and doing the show with you. So thank you so much, mate.
I appreciate you very much. I'm glad that you are back. I appreciate all of you for tuning in to another edition of the SmackDown podcast. Before I get out of here real quick, going to plug everything that we've got on partsFUNknown right now, because we just had another edition of Survival Series go live yesterday. Can you name every Money in the Bank winner?
No.
So you can make sure to check that out over on partsFUNknown right now, as well as the uncut version at the $10 and above tier over on patreon.com/WrestleTalk, as well as our brand new show on partsFUNknown, No Holds Barred, where we played telestrations, but with only wrestling prompts. It was a ton of fun. It was a really great first episode that I'm very happy with. So make sure that you check that out on partsFUNknown, and you can also see the next episode of that show, 1 week's early access at the $5 tier on patreon.com/WrestleTalk, and the uncut version of telestrations over on patreon.com/WrestleTalk at the $10 and above tier. So make sure you check all of that out. We will be back with another episode of the WrestleTalk podcast this coming Tuesday with our Raw review. Until then, I have been Tempest. That has been Sat.
House of the Black Mask. The house always wins. Join us next week. Same site time. Same site YouTube channel.
If it's your birthday today, happy friggin' birthday to you. We will see you next week.